Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm continuing on with my ranking popular makeup series. I'm going to do my top 10 bronzers in this video. I'm breaking this down into both a top 10 cream formula and powder because to me they're both essential. So I figure we're gonna go through my top 10 and instead of there being one in the category, there's gonna be two because I'm gonna be covering both the cream formula and the powder. So that's how we're gonna work this video. I hope you like how I set the bronzer category up. I didn't want to include both of them together. I feel like separately they do deserve their own placement. And instead of making two separate videos, I figured we're going to cover it all here. So with that being said, I'm not going to go over every single bronzer I've ever tried in this video because we'd be here forever. I'm just going to show you quickly the ones I have on hand that haven't made it into my top 10, and then we're going to go into my top 10 placement for both powder and cream. So I hope you guys are excited for the continuation of this series. If you like these videos, be sure to give them a thumbs up so I know to continue doing these in the future. And let me know what category you want to see next in the comments section below, and I'll definitely get to that category next for you guys. So we're going to start off with all the bronzers that are in my collection that just didn't make the top 10. And a lot of these I'd still recommend. Some of these have been top bronzers and have been replaced. There's a couple that I don't care for, which I will mention why. But we're gonna try and blast through those quickly so we're not here for another 2 days. Starting off with a favorite bronzer of mine, I was debating putting in my top 10. I love the formula. I just haven't used this in so long. And it's a little bit harder to get a hold of than some of the other bronzers I have, but this is really gorgeous. It's from Doll Beauty, and it's the Doll Gimme Sun. And this is in the shade Dark. I believe it's the darkest one they carry, so that's why also I was hesitant to include this because they just don't have enough shades, I feel, but the formula is great. So I have the darkest one, and I use this very light-handed because it is quite deep for me, just to bronze up the skin. It's a fantastic pigmented formula, which often isn't the best, I feel, for bronzer, but for this it works because it blends so well. So love this, and I love the compact too. Like a black heart. How could you not like this packaging? It is so stunning. A product that I actually didn't care for, which I know people are gonna be like, how? How do you not like this? But this is from Patrick Ta, and I love so many of his products. This specific shade, I just don't care for. And this is a contour and bronze compact, both cream and powder. With that being said, I didn't include any contours in this, so me commenting about this kind of covers contour for this as well. But the powder is more bronzy. However, the cream is 100% contour tone. And I have the shade She Sculpted. It just wasn't my favorite formula. There's others out there that I like more, both in the powder and the cream. But I know a lot of people love this, so it's always an option because it's covering both. You get both the cream and powder, but I have another duo compact I think it's even better than this. And it's in my top 10. If you want a 2-in-1 situation, stay tuned. I got you covered for that. I still want to try She's Bronzed, I think it's called. I think maybe I would like that then. It's just the She Sculpted, for whatever reason, the undertone for me is just, it doesn't work for me. Then another fantastic bronzer is the one from H&B Cosmetics. And I love this for olive skin tones. If you have an olive skin tone, I feel like these are hard to find. But again, I have one that's more affordable and easier to get a hold of in my top 10 if you are olive complected. So stay tuned for that as well. But again, love this bronzer. Nothing wrong with it, just didn't make it into my top 10. The Milani Baked Bronzer in Soleil. This has a lot of shimmer in it. I know people either love or hate a shimmery bronzer. For me, this is just a little too shimmery for me, and it just sits heavy on the skin. So this one, personally not a favorite, though again, a lot of people love it. I recently tried this LH Cosmetics bronzer. It was pretty, really nice and light, blendable, just didn't make it into my top 10. We have a fantastic bronzer duo here. It's from Vive Cosmetics. This is Jamie Genevieve's brand, and I really love the tones in this one. This is the medium 1, medium 2 duo. And I do feel like this runs fairly light for a medium for me personally, but I do really enjoy both these formulas and I think they're fantastic. Love the packaging of Vive, just didn't make it in my top 10. The Kylie Pressed Bronzer in Almond is really pretty, a little dry though. That's why it didn't make in my top 10. I still use that bronzer though, it's just not a top 10 for me. This is one that I want to revisit, I feel. It's from Makeup by Cheryl. It's the bronzer in medium. I do remember liking this. However, it just, again, didn't make my top 10. I have tons of bronzers, and none of these I would say I hate. Otherwise, I wouldn't keep them because I'm pretty good about passing things on that I don't like. However, I do have some favorites that I feel either for the price, formula, application, something about them make them worthy of the placements that I'm going to mention to you. Then my last one that I have here that is just not in a top product are my Marc Jacobs bronzers. Can't get these anymore. However, I heard that they are coming back, so hopefully they come back with their bronzers. I went through an entire Tantastic. That's how much I love that bronzer because it was the perfect neutral bronze, which I don't feel you can find too often because a lot pull either really terracotta or can be too warm. However, a neutral bronze is one that I highly recommend having in your collection if you don't want something too warm. So yes, a whole one. And these are huge. If you know, you know. It took some work to use up a whole one of that. That's one of the biggest bronzers that I personally own. And I have 3 different shades in that. I just keep them for nostalgia. And eventually I will declutter those. But I'm waiting for Marc Jacobs to come back and relaunch his makeup. And hopefully those bronzers. Top 10. Here we go. Are you ready? Because I'm not. There's a lot of bronzer here. We have 20 in total because I am covering 2 types of formula. We're going to start off with cream and then we're going to move to powder. So starting with my 10th place spot for cream, I have the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer. This is very affordable. I just got the wrong color. So this one mostly works for a contour on me. When I don't have a tan, this is the perfect color for contour. However, the formula of this is just a little dry. I heard that people like maybe the luminous one more than the matte formula. So if that's the case, let me know and I'll definitely go pick that up. This was just a little too dry, kind of lifted my makeup and just didn't go on my skin nicely. It took a lot of work, honestly, to make this look good on me. But again, a lot of people seem to like it, but I think they like the luminous one more. For powder, we have a luminous bronzer. This is one of the only ones that I'm going to be talking about. You will see in my ranking where luminous bronzers fall. Because this is such a fantastic formula, it just has a different finish than what I personally like for bronze. This could be your number one. Every single one of these bronzers I'm going to talk about, I would recommend to you, except for some of the creams I'm going to mention. I think my top 5 are the best. I have the Radiant Bronze Light, and then I also have the Luminous Bronze Light, which I wish I would have got this one in the bigger size because I feel like this is a better color for me. But if you like a very buildable light bronze that doesn't look muddy or heavy, but gives some glow, perfect bronzer, number 1 recommendation. Best luminous bronzer out there. It's just personal preference for me, it being in my 10th place spot because I much prefer something with a matte finish for bronze. For 9th place spot, this I haven't used too much, but I did like it more than the e.l.f. It is the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Sunkissed Glow Bronzer in medium. And this is supposed to be similar to the Chanel bronzer, which I used to use a long time ago, like 10 plus years ago. But that formula would break me out. I think it's the fragrance in Chanel products that just doesn't agree with my skin. This color, still need to use a little bit more of. Again, this is a little bit thicker than I personally like, a little bit harder to blend compared to some of the other formulas that I'm going to mention. So that's the only reason it is so low in my cream bronzer category. And then moving on to powder, we have another, I would say this is not as luminous as Hourglass. I would categorize this as more of a natural to luminous bronzer because this does give the skin some glow. It looks very natural though. So if you're looking for that kind of glow, that's more natural, not as glowy as an Hourglass bronzer if you've ever used those. This is my next recommendation to you. And this is from Gucci. This is very pricey, but it's so beautiful, the packaging. And I use the shade 3 and it's so perfect for my skin tone. It gives a nice warmth to the skin. And as I said, it has a natural glow. So there is a little bit of shimmer you can see in this, but it doesn't pick up on the skin. Like that Milani, you can see chunks of glitter. This just gives a healthy looking natural glow to the skin. So if that's something you're looking for, you don't want to be flat or matte, I would recommend the Gucci. Number 8, we have the Tarte Sculpt Tape, and this says contour on it. However, I personally use this color to bronze up my skin. I have the shade Warm Bronze, and I think it's absolutely stunning. This formula is my only liquid bronzer that I'm mentioning because For me, I do gravitate more towards creams that are emollient as opposed to a liquid, which can sometimes lift and look a little bit patchy compared to a cream. And that's just dependent on what you're kind of using as a base. If you're using something that's super lightweight, I would maybe go for a liquid. And if you're using a traditional foundation, I would go with a cream. That's the only difference with the lifting, I feel. But if you're using some kind of skin tint or something lighter, then I would recommend a liquid. So I really like the color of this. The formula works for me. A little goes a long way because this is highly, highly pigmented. I like this way more than the Charlotte Tilbury contour stick because it is more warm. And this is my preference. The Charlotte Tilbury looks purple on my skin, if you've ever used that. But I'm not talking about contour in this video, so I strictly use this to bronze up my skin. So really like that and would recommend it. Then for powder, I feel like I use this bronzer so often for it to be in this placement. It was hard for me to put it here, but I was thinking about every single one of these bronzers and I'm like, yep, it's in this spot. So we have the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer. I have the shade 3 Tan, and I've made a really nice dent. This is a huge bronzer as well, which I absolutely love. I love this color also for everyday in my crease. It's a really beautiful shade, and because it has that airbrush powder formula, it goes on the skin so nicely. However, the color can sometimes look a little heavy on my skin, but you need to go such light-handed with this because I do find there's a lot of pigment, but the formula is so nice and creamy for a powder that it just goes on beautifully on the skin, but you just got to watch the pigment. So I do really like this. Maybe not for beginners though, but I do use this so often, and yeah, you can tell big, huge dent in that, and it's a big bronzer. For cream, 7th place spot, we have the Nude Sticks Nudies Matte All Over Bronze colors. I have Bondi Bay, Bondi Belle, and Manila. I have to find my Bondi Bay because that's the one I actually use the most. And Manila came out and it's a little bit darker. I also like that tone. Bondi Belle I don't use so much, but I do really like these for bronzing up the skin. I think they're really good undertones. The Nude Sticks formula is just really nice because it can go over top of a set face, which every single one of these products I'm going to mention next does, because it wouldn't be in my top if they couldn't go on top of a fully set face. So I love the colors they do. They do come with the brush, which I don't use, but user friendly if that's something you want to do. I wish the brush was a little bit more dense on these, and then I would actually utilize the brush, because I feel like for creams, you don't want a stippling brush like these are. You want something with a little more density to work in the product. And for those reasons, those fall near the end of my cream bronzer top 10. I do prefer the blushes, just tonally in the colors, over the bronzers if I were to pick one from Nude Sticks, but still a great formula and one I would recommend. All these creams I would recommend. Moving on to my 7th place bronzer. This is a recent bronzer of mine and one that is truly slept on, so beautiful. I don't think I've ever seen such a flawless looking bronzer on my skin. I need to get a deeper shade though. This is good for when I do have some color, just not as much as I have today, but I wore this in a video. The blend on this bronzer, you have to check out the video. It is from Sigma, and it is their matte bronzer in medium. Right now, kind of looks like it could be a facial powder for me, just with the tone. I avoided using this for a while because I did get this in PR because I thought it was too light for my skin. However, it's not. It goes on medium skin seamlessly, literally seamlessly. It is such a beautiful formula. Honestly, one of the best formulas I've ever used, and the only reason it's in that spot is because it's newer and I have some that I've just used more, repurchased more, but this quickly climb up the list. So good. Sigma is well priced as well. Highly recommend. Check out their bronzers. If you're looking for a truly matte bronzer that just gives you airbrushed looking skin, this is it. Number 6 is one that is also slept on, I feel. And even for me, I don't reach for this as much as I wish I did. It is from Danessa Myricks Beauty, and it's their Power Bronzer in the shade Medium. This formula, again, this looks light for a medium. This is like the cream version of the Sigma bronzer. This one being obviously more neutral, this is warmer. But in terms of the formula and finish on the skin, this gives that flawless look too. It is so stunning, and this is a cream but kind of dries to a powder finish, so it gives you that flawless finish. Really, truly beautiful product. slept on. If you have tried this, you know about these. The formula of this is fantastic. I wish more people would try this. Give it a chance. Danessa Myricks Beauty has some truly phenomenal formulas in their range. This being one of them, highly, highly recommend. Sixth place for bronzer. This was also one that's moved down the list for recent bronzers of mine, but one I truly use all the time. I've gone through full-size compacts of some of these colors, and this is a palette from Fenty Beauty. However, I'm just talking about the bronzers in this. This comes with Private Island and Caramel Cutie, which are my two favorite shades. I've gone through an entire one of Caramel Cutie. If you're looking for those perfect caramel tones, something good for olive undertones, Fenty does tones right. I know so many people with my skin tone use Private Island. I only got into that one after I've gone through a whole compact of Caramel Cutie, but I recommend both shades if you're similar to me. I use both all the time. They are so beautiful on the skin, so buildable and smooth. Also very flattering. You'll see a theme here. Like they have to go on nicely, not look muddy. The tone has to be right. The formula has to be right. All these have fantastic tones and formulas. And this, if you can get a hold of it, is perfect for the eyes. I saw this in Canada more than the US. I feel like it's still kicking around here. But yes, if you can get a hold of this, it's worth it. I wished it was permanent. I don't think it is, but the bronzers are. So definitely check out Fenty bronzers if you haven't already. Tones are on point for those. My fifth place spot is a bronzer from Refi, and it's in the shade Tan. And this one is because of the color, but also the formula. I feel like this is very thin, good if I'm using skin tints and more natural makeup, and I want something terracotta color because I don't have anything in my range of bronzers that is this color. You'll see coming up, this is unique for me, but really good when I have a natural tan from the sun because I personally pull quite red. So these more red tone terracotta blend into my skin a whole lot better. So that is the reason for this placement. The formula is good, buildable, nice and thin. As I said, works with skin tints that I use and just has a really easy to play with formula that I would recommend this for beginners because you can't really screw this up. So really good one to have on hand because it is so buildable. For powder, this is a duo compact. This is my number one recommendation if you're looking to just get your cream and your powder done with. This leans to contour as well, but it is more warm tone if that's your preference, because that is mine, because I don't like something too cool sometimes, but I really love this compact, and I'm sure a lot of you are gonna guess because I've been raving about this since I tried it. It's from Give Beauty. It's their Pick It Up Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer Duo. So they suggest that the cream is the contour. However, these two colors are quite warm tone. This, especially for contour, pulls more warm. I believe this is the light shade, and I use this for medium skin. You can tell this looks a lot like the Sigma bronzer, the Danessa Myricks, which is geared towards medium skin. So I feel like light can also pull this off, but this is good still for medium skin. So this is the one I went with because I saw Gwen using this particular shade and I had to have the tone because I saw the warmth of it. So pretty. The contour is my favorite, but I use that like as a cream bronzer. And the powder is really nice because it reminds me of my number one bronzer that I'm going to talk about. So I don't want to give that away, but the color is very similar to that. Very nice and buildable. So really good compact duo. If you just want to get a cream and bronzer all in one, this is what you need. My fourth place spot for cream goes to the Milk Makeup Matte Bronzer in Blaze. I also use the shade Baked. I'll try and find Baked for you. The only thing I hate about these is honestly, sometimes the lid can get stuck. You need it airtight though, so you have to use the lid, but then it can come off in the lid. So I find the packaging really annoying and messy. However, I love the tones of this and the formula. It goes on really nicely with the brush, and the undertones Milk Makeup does is so good, plus the formula. So they used to be a lot bigger, but people weren't using them up before they would expire, I guess. I do have others that I would recommend over this. For the amount that I do use these colors, it's in fourth place spot based on use is how these work for me. I really, really like them and I would repurchase these again in the future. Then for powder, this one I've used so much And this one again is really good if you like those caramel undertones, if you're looking for something nice and warm, which I personally really like, really think is flattering. So if you are of medium skin tone like me, I'd recommend this to you. This is the Benefit Cosmetics Hoola Caramel. They do have various shades of Hoola now, which is fantastic. This is the original Hoola if you want to compare the colors. This is the one that I personally use the most, and also for an eyeshadow, this is like my #1 brown eyeshadow. I use this on my lid all the time. I went through like a whole year, I think, where I was just using this on my eyes all the time. I've kind of cut back on that. However, if I don't know what I'm doing, that's going on my lid and my cheeks. It is such a perfect bronzer color, and the formula is really nice too, but it's the color for this that I think is truly exceptional, and that's what leads it into my 4th place spot. It's the color. For my 3rd place spot for cream, we have the Fenty Beauty Freestyle Cream Bronzers. I have Macchiato and Teddy. Teddy is my most used, and I really love this shade. It's perfect when I have a tan. Like right now, I'd be using Teddy. You can see I've hit pan on this. It is such a pretty undertone. And then Macchiato looks like this. It has a little bit more of a red tone to it. I don't use it as much, and I would use this more so when I have like a light medium skin tone, I feel. So I do use Teddy more, but if you're looking for the perfect undertone for your skin tone, Fenty has a range. They have one for everyone, and their formulas are fantastic in both the cream and bronzer category. They are top products for me. The cream I do like more than the powder from Fenty, but they're both top. Fenty used to be a little bit higher up, but there's only a couple of these bronzers that kind of pushed it further down, but the cream from Fenty has still made 3rd place placement, which is really fantastic after all these cream sticks and bronzers have released. Fenty is still up there for me, just based on the ease of use, the tone for me. Never muddy, perfect tones, perfect compact. I love that it's in a compact like this versus a stick. I still like things like this myself. So for that reason, 3rd place spot. For powder though, this is one of my favorite bronzers because you can do anything with this. This is such a flawless design. One Size killed it with this bronzer, and I've talked about this so much, and there's something about it that makes it good but can be bad for beginners, I'd say. So this is the Made for Shade Bronze and Sculpt Trio. If you're looking for contour and bronze, it's in one compact, and I love it because you have your cool, your neutral, and your warm. So depending on where I am for my self-tan or how my undertone is, because honestly, depending on self-tan versus sun, like I'm changing. I'm fluctuating, so I like something like this for me just to play around with my undertone to just get it perfect. So I can mix and match these tones. I can contour with it. Sometimes I need a little bit more neutral, so I can neutralize it. Perfect neutral bronzer here. The warm is my kind. You can see those caramel undertones for this compact. That's why I really love that shade. I use that one obviously the most. And the thing that makes this good and bad is that this is a very, very pigmented bronzer. So I personally like something more buildable. So I like to use these also on my eyes because of that pigment, and the versatility of this makes it in my 3rd place spot, but also it's not my #1 only because it is so pigmented and it's not as easy to use as the other ones that I'm going to mention. So that is why it is here. And I highly recommend it though if you're looking for the trifecta. You want all your undertones in one, get this. You can sculpt, you can bronze, you can mix and match, you can use it on your eyes. It's the perfect everyday bronze eyeshadow palette if you want to do that. Such a good compact. #2, cream bronzer. And this is not going to surprise any of you, I don't think. These are the bronzing sticks from Rare Beauty. I have 2 shades. I do want to try a different one next time. I kind of mix these two. I have Power Boost and Full of Life. The one that I want, you'll let me know which one it is. It was always sold out for a time, but for whatever reason, I use Power Boost so much because it is the lightest bronzer I think they carry, and this just can help that gradient blend for me. It works for a range of my skin tones. Even though this is lighter, I still can get it to show up on me, and it won't look muddy or anything. It has the perfect warm undertone, and the formula of these are very emollient, easy to blend. These are beginner friendly, I would say. If you're looking for a cream product that is beginner friendly, these you just can't go wrong because they blend themselves out. They're so good. And then I have a deeper one that's more red tone. It's in Full of Life, and this one's good when I'm very tan. So I do use both of these, but I do prefer Power Boost, and there's another one that's a little bit more warm than red that I want to get next time. But because of the formula, this falls into my second place. I think anyone would truly love them, and I know so many people do. So, such a good formulation. For my second place powder bronzer, this also will not come as a surprise to you. This could have went first place too, but for several reasons, my first place is in the spot because it is. This didn't make number one, and I am talking about the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Bronzer. It is matte finish, waterproof, and I have the shade Tan. This is 400 Tan. This the perfect bronzer ever if you have an olive undertone. It is so fantastic. I love the undertones they do and the formula for this because these truly look like bronzer on the skin. It won't go muddy. It looks phenomenal. The color they did, the formula, extremely long wearing. This isn't going to disappear on your face. I have gone swimming with this. It is waterproof. Like, this is stuck on your face. It is drugstore, very accessible for most people. And the undertones they do, the formula for this is just unmatched compared to anything. This could have very well been in my first place spot. However, the one I'm going to mention, I've just repurchased more, I've used more, and it's more user-friendly. So this one, I recommend to anyone. It is so good. It does come with a little mirror too, which is nice. And it is in my second place spot because of the color is perfection for an olive undertone. Absolute perfection. Then for my number one cream bronzer, and this is classified kind of in the contour family as well. It's a cream bronzer contour stick. I have this on my face right now as my contour bronze, and it is the perfect color, the perfect formula for me. I like something pigmented in a cream bronzer that is blendable, but not too blendable that it blends away. This has so much pigment, it will last you forever, but it also is workable. So it's not like a pigment like the one size bronzer, which I feel like I'd steer some beginners away from. This one anyone could use because you just need a dab and it blends out itself. It is from LYS Beauty, and this is the shade Harmony. Again, if you're looking for a contour bronze situation for olive undertones, this is my perfect shade. It always looks good, and I just absolutely love the formula because it is so pigmented and easy to blend. I'd even use this from the stick to contour with. I love the shape. It's genius for LYS to continue that triangle packaging, but especially useful in a cream bronzer stick like this. So this is my number one. I love it. I know a lot of people also like this too, but every time I would recommend this, it was sold out. So I'm hoping this is back in stock finally, but it is my number one. I like it more than Rare Beauty myself. It is my most used. My number one recommendation to you guys, if you're looking for the perfect cream contour even, I feel like this can lean for contour, but cream bronzer, this is what you need. This is the only one you need. Absolutely love it. They do have a good range there too. And then for my number one bronzer, this technically isn't a bronzer. This is from the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish line. It's one of my longest used bronzers and still my most favorite because this is a powder formula. It isn't a bronzer technically. They do have a range. So you can get a bronzer shade that's deeper in the powder, use it for bronze, and because it's marketed as mineralized skin finish product, it's going to blend into your skin so seamlessly. This is good for beginners, makeup artists, everyday person. This is going to look so good on you because of the formula. I've gone through a whole one of this. I project panned this, and when I used it up and was wanting to use up other bronzers, I had to repurchase this because I missed it so much. I'm in love with the color of this. I don't think it's too warm. I think it's a perfect undertone. I do have, I think, deep dark in my collection as well, which I could show a comparison. I forget the color name of that, but I did get a darker powder to use as a bronzer. But Give Me Sun is iconic. It is known for a reason because of the formula, because of the warmth to it, and because how natural and buildable it looks like on the skin. Natural is the perfect word for these mineralized skin finishes because the formula looks like skin. And it's undetectable having any sort of bronzer line. If you're worried about, maybe you go overboard, like I've been known to. Get yourself MAC Give Me Sun because honestly, it takes care of any problem you could have with application because it does it itself. The formula is perfection. I would not change one single aspect about that formula. It is so good, perfect on the skin. Repurchasable, it is so fantastic. If you know MAC Give Me Sun, you know. Or if you follow my channel, you probably could guess that this was at least in my top 3. I feel like you could have guessed. It is so good to me and my #1 bronzer that I would recommend to anyone out there. These are my top 10 cream and powder bronzers. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and like the format of this. I wanted to do it in all-in-one video. I think I might do the same thing for blush. So if that's something you want to see as well, let me know how you like this format. I hope you're able to find a bronzer that you love for formula, for tone, for application, for whatever you're wanting, powder, cream. I think I got you covered. If you like radiance, matte, I have something for everyone here. So I hope this helps you out decide what you'd like to check out and maybe save some money so you don't have to go out and test everything, because I feel like that is my job here. I want to test everything for you guys and show you what's the best of the best out there. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have not already, I'd absolutely love for you to subscribe to my channel by hitting the red subscribe button, the bell to be notified of all my future videos. Let me know what category you want to see next in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in my next video.